So last time out didn't go so well. I guess you can watch that other video, but as we load into qualifying, we can see that there's a bit of rain, so there's a bit of a hurry to get our setup on. And then you can see that we've just finished our first flying lap, which is a pretty unimpressive 8.3. The personal best is a 7.4, so not that quick. As I go into a second lap, which we'll stay on board with, because I think it was an okay lap, and you can see that the battery's running a bit low, although it's not as bad as it looks. You can see Iron, I keep mispronouncing your name, sorry, it's a bit sketchy, but we survive as we go through whatever this corner is, keeping up a really good minimum speed through the second apex, and that's okay. Oh, that's not great minimum speed, and then right on the curb using all of it, and then into this corner, whatever it is, short shifting into fourth, getting some okay traction, going a bit wide through the apex. Then we, that's not great, although we are half a second up, which is much better than the qualifying performance in USA. If you didn't watch that, basically I was 1.2 seconds off my PB because I just couldn't get a lap together. So I'm only 4/10 off, and considering at the very end we did lose 20 milliseconds due to ERS, and you can see that, or you could see that I was in P13, which is third place of those with free tyre choice. So now we move on to the race, which is going, alright, yeah, it rained, no one else improved. So we're in P13, you can see us, more Toasty, and also Drake Dempsey, who's starting from the back on mediums. Not really many people starting the mediums, although I think it's the best strategy, as we have 5 lights out and away we go, and we get a pretty good launch considering on the medium tyres, which are decently slower than the softs here at Brazil. So you can see we're going around the outside. We then get a tap, and then when we try and rejoin the track, yeah, we're a victim of the contact model. Probably mostly my fault, that one. I think I could have avoided it a bit better, although we are quite lucky to not get any damage from that encounter, and we are absolutely dead last. As we move into turn 4, we almost lose the car and exit, but I guess fewer spins than USA. It's the same number. So then we move on to the next lap, still in last place. Same corner, and DNK has had a spin, I think, from contact. And then we move on to the middle of lap 3, and we can see that Mortowski, our teammate last time out, in case you don't know, I'm a reserve driver, so that's why I'm in a different car every week. So we're in DRS, which will help us defend against DNK if we want to stay ahead, but I know that I think DNK is going to be the fastest of us until his tyres start to wear, followed by Mortowski, followed by me. I just don't think I have the raw pace of a lot of the people here. And we're going through the Senna S's, taking it okay. We can see I'm not really using the battery, but DNK is, and I know that my tyres at this point are quite a bit worse, so I just let him by, don't want to fight that. And we both go quite wide, which is not ideal, but we get away with it. And then you can see, again, we're no longer in last place because someone else has spun off. So I have little to talk about, I don't know what I was going to say. Okay, now on to the end of that lap, and we're just hovering within DRS, and you can see we have quite a bit of battery, so we decide to use some of it to try and make sure we stick within the DRS. And braking into turn 1, that's okay. I've done a lot worse in this race, which you might see later or you might not. We open the rear wing flap again. So I was running a relative... Oh, they're going side by side. That doesn't often end well. It's okay, I guess. Looks like D&K has won out. Actually, no. Yeah. I was actually kind of happy with this because Mortoski on the medium is going to be a bit slow at the moment, so I want to try and stick within DRS as we skip back onto the end of the lap, and D&K is going to have another crack at Mortoski, and you can see that I'm like 8/10 behind them, so close to running out of the DRS. But you can see they're going side by side, which is not ideal for the pace, and you can see that D&K is just ahead at the detection point, and this was fairly predictable after that. Yeah, feel a bit sorry. Sometimes you just have to learn, and it's better to stay behind. You skip on a few laps later, and a few other people have had incidents, and we are at the back of the DRS train. As you can see, it's a bit of mayhem up ahead. We've still got quite a decent amount of battery, and we open the DRS, and we're actually doing quite well, I think. This race went okay. As you can see, that Laggy does what I should have done lap 1 in retrospect. You can see that Stella, Toys, and D&K are going side by side again, and they don't crash. Pretty good. You can see they're going side by side, and then Stella has to back out, and I think about the dive bomb, but decide against it. Not worth it. And I actually go quite wide, and then as we skip on to the end of that lap, I decide to use up my battery to get past, and he lets us by without much of a fight, and we just keep the battery on quite late, and then we're following closely behind, and you can see that Laggy doesn't get the best of exits. However, I decide that I'm going to save the battery. Even though I probably could have gone, I tend to be quite frugal, and they're going side by side. They don't crash. Incredible. So now we... okay. We're staying on board. Oh yeah. Current me doesn't understand what past me was thinking when I was putting the clips together, but you can see that and now I think Laggy goes quite wide, so here I am smelling a bit of blood, and then yeah, I've already made the decision I'm going to overtake now, and you can see that, like, did Laggy just get a penalty then? Seemed to run a bit wide, and I'm 1.3 seconds behind, so I'm spamming the battery a bit to try and get back within the DRS for the detection point, which is in the middle of the sequence of corners there. And you can see that we are in at the detection point, though we do kind of drop out. We're going to claw back in with the power of the DRS. So we move on 3.5 laps later.
Their tyres are 1 lap old. The time last lap was a 1 minute 10.6.
And as you can hear from Jeff, iLuck, who's behind us, is on much fresher tyres than us and has already pit. And it's probably going to be a pretty easy pass, but we're going to follow on for this lap. And you can see that D&K is starting to struggle a bit with tyre wear on the soft tyres. Although from my experience, I'll elaborate more on this later, but I don't think the softs actually wear that aggressively at Brazil. I think these are the slowest wearing soft tyres of any track compared to the mediums, which I'll explain in more detail later. You can see that D&K goes wide again, and I'm gonna go for the move this lap. 100% battery, that's quite a bit. And you can see I'm draining the battery 4/10 away, 3/10 away, 2/10, and it's a pretty easy pass. then braking down into turn 1. Can see taking that corner okay. Cut it a bit more, and then at the end of that lap you can see that we've really dropped DNK out of DRS, so it seems like he was struggling a lot with tyre wear, which I wasn't really. See, my peak tyre wear is 46%, which corresponds to 3% wear per lap, which is pretty decent. I think like Drake was at about 3.5%, although he was using a lot more of the grip of the tyres than I was. And you can see lap 16 that, well, I don't have DRS, and one goes by, the other goes by.
You're in the top 10 now. Keep it up.
If I drained my battery I could have stayed ahead of both of them, but it's just not worth it. It would be a bit crazy. You can see another one. There's another spinner. You can see that Ilark, who was actually the first to catch up, I think probably had contact or something, so lost a second or two, but got past me, and now I'm actually just like,
wait for safety car.
Basically what I said is, do I want to box now or go for the safety car? And you'll hear the answer now.
Safety car.
Yeah. Yes, you can see that 5 laps later I'm on 74%, so that corresponds to almost exactly 3% per lap, just a bit less. So we were quite aggressive on pit entry, and then on pit exit you can see we're gonna emerge a bit behind Lewis, who boxed end of lap 6, so our tyres are 19 laps fresher. And we're also on the soft tyres, which are a lot better than the mediums, let alone the hard tyres, so I have more grip, but I haven't really fully adjusted to it. You can see. And then going through here, you can just see how much grip we have, even though I'm not really using it all. I think you can be a lot more greedy on the throttle with the soft tyres compared to the mediums. See, braking down, you just have so much rotation compared to the mediums. And then through whatever this corner's called, you bite the curb, which isn't the best of ideas. And then it's a pretty simple DRS pass. Not much I can really say about it. And you can see a few laps later you've caught up to DNK again. He boxed for the mediums and probably is having quite a bit of tyre wear. Actually, my guess is that his tyres are actually his mediums are wearing faster than my softs. I'll explain why in a short while. So we take the Senna S's pretty decently, however, a bit too far back, so I decided to save the battery, open the rear wing, and then see what I can do. Maybe go for it on the next lap. Go through turn 4, we take it much nicer, and then we're getting kinda close, only 3.5 tenths behind. You can just see how much more grip we have, and then I absolutely send it down the inside there. Fortunately I do not get wing damage, but that was probably my best league racing overtake I've done so far. Absolutely sending it. And then not much really happened. This is the last time I opened my tyre wear up, but 8 laps into the stint, you can see I have 24% tyre wear, which corresponds to 3% per lap exactly. The exact same as my mediums then, nothing really happened. And then we crossed the finish line, and you can see I saved a replay, and it didn't show up. Yeah, so basically the mediums brought the same speed as the softs. Oh, I'm so bad at this video recording thing. Yeah, although I was sliding a lot less on the softs, but I could just... You can click off the video now if you want, but you could just see... actually, I could see it. I probably didn't leave enough clips in the video for you to see it. but like just DNK Leaf was just, I could just visibly see that they're a lot more aggressive with their tyres, like going through the flat out left-hander just before the final wheel turn. Like they were going a lot wider, which indicates much more on the limit and taking a lot more out of the tyres. So that's why I think I'd lower tyre wear. Also, don't ask me how, but I have tyre wear data for Drake, but no one else. I don't really understand why. So basically, at this race, my tyres were wearing about 0.5% a lap less than Drake. I don't know why the telemetry software only sampled the tyre wear for me and Drake. And I don't think it's just because we're teammates, because it was the same thing for Austin when we were in different cars. So I think it might be that he's also recording telemetry and broadcasting it. I don't really know. But I think that's the end.